Everybody, this is Grace. This video I'm going to talk about something that really bothers me, and I'm 57, I'll soon be 58 years old, and the memory, after a while of things that happened like back in the early 1980s, and then since then, or even before then, really, I might not have it down pat, but might not remember it all. But this is about this whole thing of what some, I think, these days just don't realize is really a form of abuse. And people really need to wake up to this. No matter what you're told to believe, think for yourself and say, wait a minute now, that really is not right. If we had all this knowledge, if we were informed of what it was and what it is now and how it was before, that developed, and then now it doesn't. People might say, maybe they're just trying to keep us down. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist about it, but really pay attention to this. Now, back in the, oh my goodness, I guess it would have been early, maybe 1980, somewhere around there, 1979. Whenever it was, I was 16 and 17, and then even a little bit at 18. I worked in this place that we basically sold hamburgers. It was a family-owned thing, and we made burgers. We made food, okay, fast food. And back then, I think I started off making $3.25 an hour, $3.35 an hour, something like that. But other women working there, they were making less. Seriously, I think the minimum wage was around $2.60 or something like that, and that's what they were making an hour, $2.60 an hour. And I was told that by a guy that worked with me that the reason he and I were making more money than the other ones was because of our family and our families, and because we were students and we were good students. They had nothing to do, selling hamburgers had nothing to do with being a good student. But anyway, now, I think it was when I was 21 maybe, I started working for a place that paid by the hour, which the hourly wage was $4.35 an hour, I believe. That was the minimum wage, $4.35 an hour. Okay, and I made bonuses that made it come up to the average I was making was $12.50 an hour. Now that was 1981, I believe. 81, 2, 3, 4, those years. Somewhere 2 years within those. So whatever it was. But that was a lot of money. I worked full time, 40 hours a week. That was a lot of money for especially my age. Okay, back then, I was in my early 20s. Now, let's think about this. $4.35 an hour, if I'm not mistaken. It's somewhere around there. And now, okay, that was 40 years ago. Would it have been? No. I'm making myself older than I am. But anyway, so it wasn't 1981. I'm sorry, it was 1980. 3 and 4. That's what it was. 1983 and 4. Okay, the minimum wage $4.35 an hour, and now it's here in Texas. It was in Texas. It's $7.35 an hour, from $4.35 $7.35. And think about what I said earlier. I think in 1981, the minimum wage was could have been $3.35 an hour, something like that. So look at how it increased a whole $1, within that short period of time. And it has increased how much since 1983 or 4? Really? $3 an hour? And if people listen to that and they think that that's not abuse, what's wrong with you? My voice probably sounded really funny then. But really, what's wrong with you if you don't think that's abuse? really think about how this country is looking at people who are doing these jobs, and a lot of these jobs that they do for minimum wage is a lot of work. It's often a lot on their bodies. Okay, the mental stress of not knowing how you're going to pay your bills, how you're going to feed your kids if you have any, how are you going to feed yourself? You got to pay rent or mortgage or electricity, everything with minimum wage. Oh, a whole bunch of people let's live in one house, and how many can do that? And how many would want to do that and have a good, healthy living? It's sickening. It's sickening to believe that there are people out there who don't believe that the minimum wage should be raised. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You're not making minimum wage? Is that what it is? Mine. Okay, maybe I watched too much about this. Anthropology, which I really like, archaeology, was a minor of mine many eons ago. But when I changed to university, they didn't have it. But anyway, it makes me think of the people who built the tombs, the pyramids. Okay, how they were treated. If whatever we've heard or seen, or when some people make it movies of it, but how they were treated. That's how people who are making minimum wage or barely above it. And let me tell you, there are places that, believe me, that for people who have disabilities, they will pay them less than minimum wage. Seriously. And it's allowed. Less than minimum wage. It's something like that an hour to do work, to do 40 hours. In some places, for people who are older than 55, they will pay them minimum wage and only allow them to work 20 hours a week. And this is supposed to be helping them. No, that's not helping. That's not part of the solution. That's part of the problem. Okay. But yeah, they'll put it off as that's part of the solution, as to help them. That's not helping. That is not helping at all. Get real, okay? Seriously, we're going to pay them less than minimum wage for the people who have, disabilities, and for people who are older and possibly disabilities, we're going to pay them minimum wage and only allow them to work 20 hours through our program. This is sickening. This is so abusive in my view. I'm a social and behavioral scientist. This is abuse. Okay, really. Now, there are people out there who, they might not have to worry about that anymore at the moment. Bad things can happen all of a sudden, and people can lose what money they have or whatever. It can happen. Okay, I think I've been dirt poor to somewhat wealthy. Okay, not filthy rich. I had grandparents who were kind of filthy rich, but they lived like they were middle class, I guess, or less. Well, I'd say middle class, but yeah, I've seen it. I've seen going backwards. Finally making it up through something, and then something bad happened, like just the total economy, and backwards. So anyway, get back on this. Seriously, how can people justify paying people $7-something an hour, $7.35? Well, it differs in different places, I would think. I'm in Texas, but I've heard people say that theirs is higher. I mean, in some places it has to be higher. Like, I lived in California before, and man, if they try to pay that to anybody in California, really? Yeah. But or New York, I don't know. I haven't lived in New York, but I have lived, like I said, in California, in San Jose, and there was no way a person could even just no. Okay, where was I in all this? I had stopped to get something to eat. I'm still here. I'm waiting. But anyway, if people really paid attention to how little it has increased, and stop with the mentality of just because it's not about, that it's not about me, so therefore it doesn't matter. That's rather narcissistic. Okay. And really, the people who could help, I think, the most would be baby boomers like me, to speak out and say, hey, this is what I was earning way back then. And I mean, like I said, I was averaging $12.50 an hour back in 1983 and 84. Okay. And the minimum wage is less than that still. Okay. And for some people that would be at that, where I was at that time in my life, that age and that kind of job, because I was a student at the same time. I was working to be, being a student also. Well, so in other words, I wasn't degreed at the time. For them to be making less than that now, all of these years later, this is abuse. This is abuse. Like I said, it makes me think of the people who were building the pyramids. They really, how were they surviving? Outside of it, working so hard, and then, people. I mean, I can go on down the line, like I said, social and behavioral scientists, and say all these little things that are popping into my head. Just, like they see the masses. We don't have to treat them like humans. We can, dehumanize them. And they just need a little piddly little bit of money. If they can't survive, if they have to go live on the street, oh well, we don't have to. Okay, now remember, I'm an independent. Okay, I am an independent. So I think for myself. I'm not going to watch one news channel or then click it to the total opposite, one that has a total opposite agenda, and believe them just because they say so. I think for myself, and I say no. People making $7.35 an hour this year, this time in this world, and there are other people who are complaining because they want to raise the minimum wage to a decent, livable wage. No, they're going to come up with all these things. Well, if they do that, then they're going to do this, and then they're going to... Well, whatever. How's it going to change now? Tell me again how. I'm listening. How's it going to change if people don't say, no, enough is enough? We the people have decided that that's not right. That has to stop. And anyway, how are these the people who think like this trained? Who are they trained by? Okay, they're trained to believe that. They were fooled. They were made. We really shouldn't blame them. But if they cannot step outside of that, what they've heard, their bubbas and their bubettes, and then their, other people who are trying on purpose to soothe you, to say, well, this is the norm, and if they do this, then that's going to happen. It's going to be worse. It's going to be worse. It's going to be. They're lying to you. They're hoarding the money. The people who have it, and try to put out this agenda that, oh, if people fight this is going to happen, and that's going to happen, and why do you think they're telling you that? So there will be people who rise up against changes like that, even though they possibly themselves and or their adult family members, teenagers, whatever it is, that are out there working aren't making enough to survive on. Okay, to survive in a good way. I mean, there are places where you can live like really bad places and survive and have food. But it's bad. Like I said, I've been there. I've been dirt poor more than once. I've lived in poverty before. Okay, right now I don't have to worry about money. Right now. At my age, I had to work hard. My life chances, that's what's called life chances, were very slim. Very, to ever thrive. Thrive is the word people use these days more often. Very slim. And if something happened, I mean, I know things can happen right now. Where would I be? I would be back out making probably minimum wage. I was a director at a place not a few years ago. When was it? Probably back in 10 years ago or a little less. and they were paying me $10 an hour to be a director over a whole bunch of people having lots of responsibilities. And that's what they felt like was a good wage for anybody who took that job. I learned other people were making this, something. Other people made it in not just that place, in other places, even minimum wage as a director. Okay. That's pathetic. And the people who believe the BS that they hear, like I said, on the news, they watch a news channel. Oh, they're trying to raise the minimum wage, and you know what's going to happen to all of us? That's BS. You think how many masses there are who are barely surviving, and maybe you don't see it outside your front door, but it's out there. Okay, pardon me, I have my mask on, but here's the thing that gets me. Now, I'm a Christian myself, and I have been since I was a kid. Okay, as far as I was probably brought to church right after being born. Yeah. And now I live in Texas, and I do see this is not all Texans. I can't stand it when people think that because somebody lives somewhere, they're all that way. That kind of thinking is just wrong. Flat out wrong. Period. Okay, full stop. But here. So he just brought me a animal cookie, a Blizzard, the mini one. I wanted just to take a bite out of it. It's all one for $3. Adam will eat the rest. But, okay, anyway, what I was saying was, I do understand that there's some people who are taught, okay, you're Christian, and when you're a Christian, you're taught to be charitable. That's my view. I'm not trying to change anything about it, but basically that's what I know. But I know people who were taught to have a mindset that giving charity to people is not helping them out. Wrong. Period. Okay? Wrong. People, they say, they need to pull themselves up from their bootstraps. Now maybe I'll be able to get it out. But they have this mentality, they've been taught this mentality of people need to pull themselves up from their bootstraps. Well, guess what? Not everybody can afford boots. Some people can't even afford the straps, the boot straps, okay? I mean, this mentality of, we're not going to help them out. Are you sure? You're calling yourself a Christian. You say, no, we're not going to help people. You're going to do the tough love. All this crap that people have been taught. Go back and read your Bible. Really? And it's not to alter things that are written in the Bible. I just recently read that. Wasn't it in Revelations? People trying to alter, to change what's actually in the Bible. Go read it yourself. Don't take my word on it. I could be misquoting, but I think it was in Revelations. But anyway, they're taught these things. They're taught not to help. Why? We got some sick people out there that want people to fail, that are looking for people to fail, and that teaches, I don't know why this changed itself. That's teaching the masses, yeah, if you don't do as we say, if you don't accept minimum wage, $7.35 an hour, it's good. If you don't work your butts off in the way we want you to, you're going to be out there and then there's no help. Do any of you think like that? Do any of you who believe this other way connect the dots? Wait a minute, why would they want people to want us not to help other people when our Bible does not say that? No, it does not. And you don't have to be of any particular political party to be a Christian. Just so you know, and you don't have to be. You can be a scientist and be a Christian. Don't believe the BS people tell you. Okay, seriously. Think for yourself. Engage your brain with reality of what you see around you yourself. Not what some media, whether social or just regular media, has decided it would be best for you to hear to suit their purposes and to make them money. I'm not saying they all do that. None of this is all. I'm not that type of person to think one size fits all. I don't think in all or nothing terms, black or white terms. No. So, but I do think people, too many, I don't care what side you're on. I'm independent, remember, or any of them. Think for yourself. Do you realize that people have agendas and they can look the straightest poker face on the planet and act as though they really know what they're talking about when they are lying to you on purpose? They are selling an agenda. Quite often it's a conspiracy theory. And guess what? Some things can be used with fact to build crazy conspiracies off of it. Okay? Got it? Now, I am a social and behavioral scientist. I taught at college and university. My master's degree is in sociology. And yes, I do know that there was some conspiracies against people. I do know this. But some people will use that one or two that they know of. That's all, and they barely even know about that. But they'll use those to continue and to spread more conspiracies, to put people in this mindset of to really believe what they say, what they believe in. Okay, and that's just to keep your mind confused that you don't think for yourself. They'll soothe you through this. They'll say, well, if, the whole conspiracy theory I'm talking about, like if they raise minimum wage, how bad that's going to be for all of us, and blah, 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 blah. Oh, there's going to be inflation, or there's going to be this, or there's going to be a crash in that. Oh, really? Get off the floor, stop wallowing, and say, okay, we can fight this. We, the people, we can stand up and we can say, we're tired of this. We're voting you out, you out, you out, you out, because you didn't agree. You. Until we get somebody in there who knows that we're not playing your games. We, the people, aren't playing your games anymore. We want a livable wage for everyone. Everyone who does a job needs a livable wage. They don't need crap that you want to throw at them or saying, well, it's because you're disabled. Now, how many of us have somebody in our family that is disabled in one way or another? Probably all of us. In some form. Now, I'm talking extended family or even in-laws. Somewhere, we probably know someone who is disabled. Okay, disabilities. And they deserve, because they have some disability that they're possibly born with, no fault of their own, whatever, it doesn't matter. And they deserve less than minimum wage, which is pathetic as it is already. So we're just going to add even more misery to their situation? Put yourself in their shoes. People, seriously, people who cannot put themselves in somebody else's shoes, they have a problem. It's called narcissism. Lack of empathy. It's not just narcissism, but yeah, narcissistic behaviors. I can't put myself in somebody else's shoes. I can't feel empathy. Check it out. That's sick. Anyway, that's enough for now, but hey, I'm going to continue this on other videos. Hopefully, nothing else changes. Talk to you on another video.